Hello Year 9 and welcome to the last video lesson for this week. End of week 3, so we're halfway through this term. Well, we're almost halfway through this term by the time you're listening to this lesson. So let's recap on what we learnt yesterday. So, pink box. Abigail Williams is a selfish, cruel and manipulative girl. We already knew that. What we did learn yesterday was who had had a brief affair with her employer, John Proctor, whilst his wife was ill. So let's just think about this piece of information and what it implies about Abigail as a person. So number 1, she has no respect for the teaching of her religion. Can you remember what religion it is that is followed by the village of Salem? I'm going to give you 5 seconds to search your brains and see if you can remember what we call the religion that they followed. Okay, so the answer you were looking for was Puritan, with those links to pureness and very strict rules, if you remember, about dancing, not eating on Christmas Day, and a man not being able to kiss his wife on the street. Okay, and Abigail has no respect for any of that at all. Number 2, she had no compassion for the fact her mistress was ill. So even though Elizabeth, that's John Proctor's wife's name, even though Elizabeth was very poorly, that didn't stop Abigail and her husband behaving in this very unacceptable way. Number 3, she is more than capable of lying whenever she wants or needs to. Okay, it's almost like the ease of water running out of a tap. She senses danger, she senses she can't get what she wants, and lies just flow out of her mouth like water flows out of a tap. Okay, did you spot my simile there? And that simile is to help you understand just how easily she lies and cheats her way through life. And then number 4, she still believes John Proctor is in love with her and that he will leave his wife to be with her. Hopefully those of you who were focused yesterday will have picked up in the text that John Proctor does not intend to sleep with Abigail again. He does not intend to betray his wife again. He is very guilty about what happened. He feels responsible as the older man, as he should do. He is absolutely intent on not allowing that to happen again. So this is quite a shocking revelation. Revelation is a piece of information about the character of Abigail Williams, and as you can see there, my emoji face is truly shocked. That is a I really can't believe it face. And her behaviour, of course, is made even worse because she pretends to be so good and true to her uncle, Reverend Parris. Okay, so we're going to read some more in the text. I'm going to read quite a bit of the text today. You're all doing brilliantly with your work. My classes, I hope that the other teachers are finding your work excellent too, and that you're enjoying the play. Okay, let's see what Abigail and the village of Salem get up to today. Okay, so here we go with the start of today's text. I may read stage directions or names out if I think it's getting a little bit complicated about exactly what's happening, and I may stop and just explain something if I feel it's necessary for you to understand exactly what's going on. Right, let's see if I can do another Oscar-winning performance and get an invite to the red carpet and the after show performance and meet all those famous people. Okay, hope you enjoy it. If you remember, Betty was screaming, shouting, and Rebecca Nurse came into the room, and just by standing very quietly next to Betty, Betty calmed down and was quiet again. And Mrs. Putnam doesn't like the fact that that happened, and she accuses or seems to suggest that there's something unnatural about Rebecca being able to do that. Okay, here we go. What have you done? Rebecca, in thought, now leaves the bedside and sits. What do you make of it, Rebecca? Goody nurse, will you go to my Ruth and see if you can wake her? I think she'll wake in time. Pray calm yourselves. I have 11 children, and I am 26 times a grandma, and I have seen them all through their silly seasons. And when it come on them, they will run the devil bow-legged, keeping up with their mischief. I think she'll wake when she tires of it. A child's spirit is like a child. You can never catch it by running after it. You must stand still, and for love, it will soon itself come back. Aye, that's the truth of it, Rebecca. This is no silly season, Rebecca. My Ruth is bewildered, Rebecca. She cannot eat. Perhaps she is not yet hungered. I hope you are not decided to go in search of loose spirits, Mr. Parris. I've heard promise of that outside. A wide opinion's running in the parish that the devil may be among us, and I would satisfy them that they are wrong. Then let you come out and call them wrong. Did you consult the wardens before you called this minister to look for devils? He is not coming to look for devils. Then what's he coming for? There be children dying in the village, mister. I see none dying. This society will not be a bag to swing around your head, Mr. Putnam. Did you call a meeting before you? I am sick of meetings. Cannot the man turn his head without he have a meeting? Ah, he may turn his head, aye, but not to hell. Pray, John, be calm. Mr. Parris, I think you'd best send Reverend Hale back as soon as he come. This will set us all to arguing again in the society, and we thought to have peace this year. I think we ought to rely on the doctor now and good prayer. Rebecca, the doctor's baffled. If so he is, then let us go to God for the cause of it. There is prodigious danger in the seeking of loose spirits. I fear it. I really fear it. Let us rather blame ourselves. And how may we blame ourselves? I am one of 9 sons. The Putnam seed had peopled this province, and yet I have but 1 child left of 8, and now she shrivels. I cannot fathom that. Mrs. Putnam, with a growing edge of sarcasm, because remember, she's given birth to a lot of children, but only has 1 daughter still alive, and she says, but I must. You think it God's work you should never lose a child nor grandchild either, and I bury all but 1? There are wheels within wheels in this village, and fires within fires. When Reverend Hale comes, you will proceed to look for signs of witchcraft here. You cannot command, Mr. Parris. We vote by name in this society, not by acreage. Okay, the word acreage there refers to how much land Mr. Putnam has. So just because he owns a lot of land, it doesn't mean that he can boss everybody about and tell everybody what to do. I never heard you worried so on this society, Mr. Proctor. I do not think I saw you at Sabbath meeting since snow flew. Sabbath is a word still used today for Sunday, so the day of prayer in the Christian-based religions. I have enough trouble without I come 5 mile to Hear him preach only hellfire and bloody damnation. Take it to heart, Mr. Parris. There are many others who stay away from church these days because you hardly ever mention God anymore. Why, that's a drastic charge. It's somewhat true. There are many that quail to bring their children. I do not preach for children, Rebecca. It is not the children who are unmindful of their obligations toward this ministry. Are there really those unmindful? I should say the better half of Salem village, and more than that. Where is my wood? My contract provides I be supplied with all my firewood. I am waiting since November for a stick, and even in November I had to show my frostbitten hands like some London beggar. You are allowed £6 a year to buy your wood, Mr. Parris. I regard that £6 as part of my salary. I am paid little enough without I spend £6 on firewood. 60 plus 6 for firewood. The salary is £66, Mr. Proctor. I am not some preaching farmer with a book under my arm. I'm a graduate of Harvard College. I am well instructed in arithmetic. Mr. Corey, you will look far for a man of my kind at £60 a year. I am not used to this poverty. I left a thrifty business in the Barbados to serve the Lord. I do not fathom it. Why am I persecuted here? I cannot offer one proposition, but there be a howling riot of argument. I have often wondered if the devil be in it somewhere. I cannot understand you people otherwise. Mr. Parris, you are the first minister ever did demand the deed to his house. Man, don't a minister deserve a house to live in? To live in, yes, but to ask ownership is like you shall own the meeting house itself. The last meeting I were at, you spoke so long on deeds and mortgages, I thought it were an auction. I want a mark of confidence is all. I am your third preacher in 7 years. I do not wish to be put out like the cat whenever some majority feels the whim. You people seem not to comprehend that a minister is the Lord's man in the parish. A minister is not to be so lightly crossed and contradicted. Right, before I read the next bit, let me just explain what that argument is about. So, as the reverend in charge of the church, Parris is loaned a house to live in. Okay, he lives there rent-free. It's part of the deal of the salary that he earns and his money for firewood, and he lives in this house for free. Because he is actually quite a greedy and materialistic man, Parris isn't happy with this. He wants to actually own the house that he lives in as the minister. So he wants the deeds and the mortgages. He wants the piece of paper that says that he owns it. And as Proctor says, no other reverend in Salem has ever asked to have ownership of the house that they live in. Okay, let's continue. So page 35, Putnam's about to speak. Aye, there is either obedience or the church will burn like hell is burning. God, can you speak 1 minute without we land in hell again? I am sick of hell. It is not for you to say what is good for you to hear. I may speak my heart, I think. What? Are we Quakers? We are not Quakers here yet, Mr. Proctor, and you may tell that to your followers. My followers? There is a party in this church. I am not blind. There is a faction and a party. Right, the use of the word party there might be quite confusing for you, because when we use the word party, we think of, nice clothes, bit of music, flashing lights, bit of earth, wind and fire in the background. But what the word party here means is just a group of people. So a bit like a political party. So not a party that you go to to have a good time and fun and be sociable and chat about unimportant things, but a group of people who all have the same ideas and have the same views of something. Okay, so that's what Paris means here. There's a party, and he thinks that there is a group of people in Salem who don't like him as a man who is in charge of their church, and who would like him to be pushed out and made to leave. Okay, so Proctor says near the bottom of page 35, against you, against him and all authority. Why, then I must find it and join it. This is a shock among the others, and the reason it's a shock is because Proctor has just suggested that he is against Reverend Paris, doesn't like him, doesn't agree with him. Okay, so Rebecca says, he does not mean that. He confessed it now. I mean it solemnly, Rebecca. I like not the smell of this authority. No, you cannot break charity with your minister. You are another kind, John. Clasp his hand, make your peace. I have a crop to sow and lumber to drag home. He goes angrily to the door and turns to Giles Corey with a smile. What say you, Giles? Let's find the party. He says there's a party. I've changed my opinion of this man, John. Mr. Paris, I beg your pardon. I never thought you had so much iron in you. So the word iron there doesn't mean he's been eating his spinach. It means like Popeye. It means iron in terms of he didn't know he could be such a strong, steadfast and powerful man. Okay, we can see that Paris didn't expect that, because Miller's written the word surprised as stage directions there, because he doesn't normally get on with Giles Corey. So why? Thank you, Giles. It suggests to the mind what the trouble be among us all these years. Now he speaks to everybody in the room. Think on it. Wherefore is everybody suing everybody else? Think on it now. It's a deep thing and dark as a pit. I have been 6 times in court this year. Proctor, familiarly, with warmth, although he knows he is approaching the edge of Giles's tolerance for this. Is it the devil's fault that a man cannot say you good morning without you clap him for defamation? You're old, Giles, and you're not hearing so well as you did. So possibly a new word for people there, defamation. That means when you say negative things about somebody, and it's a word that can end up taking you to court. People can sue you for saying things about them which aren't true. John Proctor, I have only last month collected £4 damages for you publicly saying I burned the roof off your house, and I never said no such thing, but I've paid you for it, so I hope I can call you deaf without charge. Now come along, Giles, and help me drag my lumber home. Again, lumber there. Some of you may not be aware, lumber is another word for wood. So where trees have been cut down, the product of cutting that tree down is lumber. And in 1692, people like Proctor and Corey, they would have made their own furniture from the wood that they chopped down. Their own fences in their property and things like that. Okay, so that's what the word lumber means. A moment, Mr. Proctor. What lumber is that you're dragging, if I may ask? My lumber, from out my forest by the riverside. Why, we are surely gone wild this year. What anarchy is this? That tract is in my bounds. It's in my bounds, Mr. Proctor. So Putnam's not very happy about this. Anarchy. The word anarchy means going against the rules, not obeying the rules that society has in place. And Putnam is accusing Proctor of getting lumber from off of his land and not off of his own land. In your bounds? I bought that tract from Goody Nurse's husband 5 months ago, and he had no right to sell it. It stands clear in my grandfather's will that all the land between the river and your grandfather had a habit of willing land that never belonged to him, if I may say it plain. That's God's truth. He nearly willed away my north pasture, but he knew I'd break his fingers before he set his name to it. Let's get your lumber home, John. I feel a sudden will to work coming on. You load one oak of mine and you'll fight to drag it home. Aye, and we'll win too, Putnam, this fool and I. Come on. He turns to Proctor and starts out. I'll have my men on you, Corey. I'll clap a writ on you. Final stage directions on this page. Enter Reverend John Hale of Beverley. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that section of Act 1 of The Crucible. Lots of tempers starting to boil over, lots of arguments, lots of hysteria starting to creep into how the characters speak and how they respond to each other. I would like you, please, to write today's date and the title, Understanding Miller's Vocabulary, Developing My Own Vocabulary, into your books, onto your papers, in your folders, wherever you're doing your work. I would then like you to create the table that you see in front of you. It has 3 columns. The first column is titled Word. There's going to be a single word in there. Then you're going to write a definition for that word, and then you're going to write an example sentence using that word to consolidate your spelling of the word, but also your understanding of the word. These example sentences are not to be simple, short sentences. They are to have at least the requirement of a comma in them somewhere, because you have included 2 clauses, 2 sections, 2 pieces of information within each of those sentences. Okay, so write the date, the title, underline the title, and making sure you leave space for your example sentences. Set out the table that's here. If it were me, I'd probably do it with my piece of paper being landscape, because that will allow for my example sentence box to be bigger. You shouldn't need huge amounts of space for your definition or your word. Okay, you get on with that. I'll see you on the next slide. Okay, welcome back. So you've got your title underlined and your date underlined, and you've drawn yourself a table. At the bottom of the screen, there are 16 words. Those 16 words appear in the section of text which I have just read to you. They are of differing levels of difficulty. I've included 16 so that you can select those 8 words that you would like to explore and investigate today. Try and push yourself not to pick the easiest 8 or all words that you actually know what they mean. The whole point of this is firstly to understand the words that Miller is using, but secondly to try and store some of those higher level words in your own head, so that when you are doing your writing, these higher level words start appearing on the page in front of you. Just to recap, vocabulary, high level vocabulary, is marked twice at GCSE. So if you do have a fantastic vocabulary, you're already on a good pathway to success, because the exam mark scheme really rewards high level vocabulary well. Okay, you can see I've done the first one for you, and I put an excellent sentence in there, a good sentence opener, vocabulary within my sentence, and full stop at the end. Okay, so you can pick 8 of the words at the bottom of the screen. If you wish to pick more than 8, that is absolutely fine for you to do so as well. That brings the 3rd video for this week to a close. I'll see you next week when we move on to more arguments, more hysteria, and more accusations in Act 1 of The Crucible. Have a great weekend, folks. Bye.